Hey guys, today I'll be teaching you about intervals, what they are, how to conceptualize them, how to place them on the fretboard, and how to improvise with them. Uh, this is a very big part of my education on the fretboard, and seeing the intervals gave me the way to see the more complex structures that come later. So just to get a taste of how it sounds, let's just get into a C major progression to see how intervals sound when improvising. Okay, so they can go far, they can go wide, and when you think about it, there's really nothing you can play that's not composed of intervals. So let's get into it. Okay, first step is the concept of them, how you actually think about them. Look at this chart; it's going to help. So we have the purple line on top, interval, notes, tonic, harmonic functions. So first of all, these are diatonic intervals. And if you're not sure what that is, please watch my lesson on diatonic intervals, chromatic intervals, and chord tones, tensions, avoids. The interval lessons are extremely short. They're just the bare bones theory that you need. So diatonic interval, as said in that lesson, is simply counting steps above a note. So if I'm in C major, a second means going 2 steps from C. 1, 2, C and D. Okay? A diatonic third is C, E. A diatonic fourth is C and F. A diatonic fifth is C and G. A diatonic sixth is C and A. And a diatonic seventh is C and B. The point is that I'm simply counting steps in the scale. And here comes the important part. For me, it's not about producing the diatonic interval within the scale. It's seeing a meaning related to it. And let me tell you how I do this. I use a method I call harmonic analysis, in which I try to find the simplest chord I can with the two notes, assuming that one of the notes is my tonic. Okay, I feel it's useless for me to think about it as some kind of other chord. But if I'm in the key of C major and I'm playing C and D, then this can be either C and something, in this case 9, right? Because D is the 9. Or if the tonic is D and the chord is really in inversion, then the root is C. And I always prefer the simplest, lowest explanation, and I define the lowest explanation to be, if I take my scale in thirds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, I try to have my chord have 1 and the closest note to 1 possible, and the closest to 3, and then there's 5, then there's 7, then there's 9, then there's 11, and then there's 13. So for me, C and D really spells out a 1 and 7 of D minor 7 chord. And that's how I see it. Moving to the next interval of a third, I have 1 and 3. It's called in root position because my lower note is C. I have C and E. Would not make sense to call this an E flat 13, right? When I play C and F, this is important. I call this, what I see here is 1 and 5 of F major, right? Part of this chord. And I don't see a C11, okay? And this is going to help in a second when I tell you how to actually practice this. So C and F is 1 and 5 of an F chord, and it's in inversion, okay? And when I move to the diatonic fifth, C and G, it's 1 and 5 in root position because C is 1 and G is 5, and it is not G1 and C11, okay? The diatonic 6, like C and A, is actually like an A minor chord. It has the 1 and the 3 in inversion. And the diatonic 7th, our largest interval, is 1 and 7 of C major 7. Okay, so the first thing I did is when I had my 6 intervals, I chose what the tonic should be, and I did not have any biases towards my lower notes. Let me tell you why this is very helpful to me. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to use 1 and 3, which is the thirds. It'll be easy to see. Okay, this is C and E. Let me play it way up top here. Okay, and here comes my knowledge of the C major scale, which really helps me here. I know that in the major scale, we have C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, and B diminished. From that, I know that chords typically have two kinds of thirds. They have the minor third when they're minor chords, like C minor, for example, and they have major thirds for chords like C major, F major, G major. So I only have two shapes, and I'm thinking on guitar in shapes. And this is very important for me because when I'm playing thirds in C major, what I'm really doing is moving chord shapes and thinking in degrees. And the degrees repeat themselves in all 12 keys. I mean, they all have the same chords in the same order. So now we can begin doing the exercises. And when we're practicing the intervals, what you're looking for is only finding chord shapes and applying them to the correct degrees. So for example, I'm starting my thirds in D minor, which is like the easiest example to begin with. And I'm noticing that locally this chord is a D minor. It has a tonic and a minor third. I know that if it'll be major, it'll be closer to here. And I know that my scale degrees are D, D minor, E minor, and so on. So I'm really just using my chords D minor, E minor, F, G, B, A minor, B diminished, C, and D minor. So I'm really only seeing chords. Okay? So let's systematically go through all the intervals, and the first way we're going to learn this is actually horizontally on each string set. So let's begin. If I have my seconds, seconds really mean, if you're looking at the chart, 1 and 7 in inversion, which tells me that it's kind of a dissonant interval, but remember, it's going to be beautiful later. Right? That's okay, so never underestimate the beauty of a second. Okay, it's not that dissonant if you know how to use it. So I'm beginning on the top strings. I'm playing F and E. And the important part is my brain, which is saying the following. Oh, okay. This is 1 and 7. Because my tonic is on a top string, F, I must be in F major 7, the 4th degree of the scale. And I know that I have major 7s, which look like this huge shape, and 7s, which look like this shape. And these are my only intervallic structures. So I'm starting on my 4th degree and doing F, G7, A minor 7, B, C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, and F. Of course, out of the video, learn to descend as well. Okay, so that was my second. And then move to the next set of adjacent strings, 3 and 2. Same shape, but I'm starting on C major 7. That's the only difference. Okay, it's kind of convenient. It's this chord. And I complete it, but it's only 1 and major 7. So here you go. C. Okay, I'm learning it harmonically, and I'm thinking about it in terms of a chord with a 1 and another number. So for my seconds, it was 1 and 7. Now the thirds, which we already covered. Okay, and then we'll do the fourths, which is 1 and 5 in inversion, C and F. And again, remember, your tonic is the top note, not the bottom note. And when you have a 1 and a 5 in a chord, there's only one scale degree that has a flat 5. That will be the B diminished, which looks like this. But now you know why the shape changes. So it makes much more sense. Okay, sorry, I meant this in inversion. 1 in flat 5 because my flat 5 is in second string. Okay, so I'm starting on F, and I'm playing this shape like pretty stupidly until I get to the flat 5, and then I see my diminished chord. And that helps me do this in every scale in a much simpler way. So here I go. F, E minor, C, B diminished, A minor, G, and F. Okay? Same thing with the fifths, but this time it's in root position. Starting on C and G, my tonic note is C. Here I am. Okay, that was my flat 5. B, A minor, G, F, E minor, D minor, and C. Okay? Of course, the pedal note just for fun. And finally, the 6th and 7th. For the larger intervals, I tend to skip a string, so I'm starting here on A and F if I'm on the top string. And remember, this chord is in inversion because diatonic 6 are really 1 and 3 in inversion, meaning the top note is F, that's a tonic. And the second note is the major third in this case, okay? Because it's the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So I'm starting on my 4th degree in C major. Here I go again. Okay? And finally, I'll do the 7ths, and it'll be a root position 1 and 7 chord. Sorry. Okay, I do this on all sets of strings. Okay, that's the first step. You're playing, remember, you're remembering that all diatonic intervals within the octave are either a 1-3 chord in root position or a 1-3 chord in inversion, or a 1-5 chord, which is either C and G, for example, or G and C. It's either a 4th or a 5th, or an 1 and 7 chord in root position like C and B, or 1 and 7 in inversion like B and C. Okay, so all intervals correspond very simply to 1-3, 1-5, or 1-7 chords. That's a huge point, and you really need to know where your 1 is, whether it's your top string or your lower string. Once you have that, you play it in all sets of strings. Okay? Okay, now let's talk about how to apply this vertically. So I'll take 3-note positions of C major like this. Okay, I'll start 3 notes pursuing on every scale degree of the chord, starting from F to B. Then I'll have 7 positions. Now we can practice. Let me just take C because it's simplest. Okay, I'll practice seconds vertically. Seconds are really a funny thing because once you do C and D, that's a second melodically. Then my next scale degree is D. So you'll hear this note D twice. Once as the end of the second from C, and the second time as the beginning of the next second here. So it gets this rhythmic pattern. Okay, that's your seconds. Now your thirds. You can do this. can always mix directions. Okay, that's fun to do. And when I do fourths, actually I see it like combinations of horizontal positions. So it's really this. Like that, okay? Fifth's kind of the same principle. I'll do it lower so you can see. Okay, and sixth, I tend to skip a string. Sorry. And of course, seventh, which I really tend to do mostly vertically, personally. So I'm really just combining vertical positions like this. Okay, that's what I'm really seeing. Okay, like this. So that's how you combine these ideas to get like vertical positions. You begin harmonically, and then you just combine. And then you'll get your vertical positions. Okay, now what I would suggest doing once you have, imagine that you've sort of mapped out all the intervals in a different location. I'd start trying to make fun, silly music just based on an interval. So for example, I'll just do this. Now I'll think about thirds. Now I'll think about fourths. Okay, now I'll be thinking about the fifths. Okay, now I'll be thinking about sixths. Right? It's a very different emotional space. And finally, sevenths. Okay, so it's very dramatic how they change. And of course, this works really, really well once you play it on progressions, but that's for a different day because it sounds great to play this like this. If you're thinking about intervals, you'll get completely different melodies from what you're used to. Okay, so it's really, really a lot of fun to learn these. Let me summarize the key points. All diatonic intervals, meaning intervals within the scale, can be visualized as chords with 1-3, 1-5, or 1-7, either in root position or in inversion. The best way to practice, for me anyway, is to learn them vertically, harmonically, on all sets of strings. Okay? And then take positions and apply them to create vertical intervals. Once you're pretty good with that, I recommend improvising specifically on a single interval at a time by changing where you play it, the direction you play it. Okay? And finally, taking these concepts and applying them to songs when you know to do this in all keys. Of course, it has to be practiced in 12 keys to be truly mastered, but I'll have more content regarding that. I'll be attaching the little picture you see on the left in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you get better at guitar. Bye bye, guys.